Imagine for a moment, we talked about the Tongan royal family. And I said, wow, they're terribly Polynesian or terribly black. What would you have said?
So I can't answer that question because I don't know the history of the Tongan royal family.
Well, they're Polynesian.
But I do know the history of this royal family to the extent that there are people of colour in this royal family. We haven't seen, for example, the descendants of Anaya, her name was, until she was baptised, Sarah Forbes Bonetta. We don't have the descendants of, for example, the princesses who came from India. Why not?
But they're not the kids of the senior working royals.
They
the only
were part
criteria for being
of
on the
Queen
balcony
Victoria's
is they're the senior members of the family, who, by the way, happen to be white. When was that a crime?
Piers,
that a family's white?
You can shout because you know that what I'm about to say is going to upset you because it's right. Piers, Queen Victoria had a wonderful family portrait, and that family portrait included people of colour. Where are those descendants? Why aren't they on the balcony? Where is Meghan? Where are her children?
Meghan?
Where is Doria?
I'll tell you where Meghan was.
Where are they?
Meghan is at her $11 million mansion in California, which is gained from the proceeds of trashing the royal family for the last 3 years. That's where she is.
I accept that the adverb of terribly probably wasn't what I would choose.
You think?
Disappointingly,
All right,
I would.
Adjoa actually goes to my local church and she's a seriously good egg. And I think she just had a sort of instinctive reaction that, wow, the people on that balcony don't look like they represent me. I would actually move away from the idea of very distant descendants because that would have looked like curious casting just for the sake of pleasing the press. And I would have suggested we missed a trick. And I said this on your show and I've said it elsewhere and I've been decried by all the royal press pack. The casting of those honorary page boys was a massive ball drop. There was no criteria to say, for instance, Prince George, being a page boy was absolutely against protocol.
So King Charles' coronation just came and went. And there is a lot of controversy about the whole coronation. If you remember clearly, King Charles is also the ceremonial head of 14 other independent nations. And some of these nations are in the Caribbean. And the inhabitants of these nations are of African origin. So they are black people. And the whole thing looks so funny that you are claiming to be a ceremonial head of 14 nations, but those nations were not even represented in the coronation. On the so-called royal balcony, we saw a lot of children there, but none from the Caribbean or no black person among the children that were positioned on the balcony. And you ask yourself, why? That is the reason why many of these countries in the Caribbean are now saying it's high time for them to take their own path. It's high time for them to ditch the monarch as a ceremonial head and become a republic, which I support 100%, because there is no point having a foreigner as a head of your own country. There is no point having a foreigner being the leader of Jamaica. There is no point having a foreigner being a leader of Belize. There is no point having a foreigner being a leader of Barbados. There is no point. And King Charles himself was talking about diversity and inclusion, which means that he would bring those 14 other nations close. And remember, the coronation wasn't just an English-only affair. It wasn't just a British-only affair, or it wasn't a United Kingdom-only affair. So all the 14 other countries that King Charles is the ceremonial head were also involved. It concerned them. But you didn't see any representation of those other countries. Well, I didn't see it. So if tomorrow those 14 other countries decided to ditch the monarch, can you really blame them? Can you? That is why the white or Western superiority is still in play. That is why white supremacy is still in play. That is why no matter what they tell us about equality, about diversity, about inclusion, in practice, it's never done that way. We, the Black people, are always looked upon as second class. Now, in just a related story, you can remember during the Queen's funeral, Queen Elizabeth, a couple of months ago, how most African leaders were packed into buses like school kids and ferry around London, while Joe Biden drove in his personal convoy, and Emmanuel Macron also was given a special treatment. He also came in his personal convoy, and African leaders were all packed in a bus. This just goes to show you how the West looks upon us, how they view us. So you can all see it clearly. You can all see it clearly. But you guys out there, what is your take about the king's coronation? King Charles' coronation. Do you think that there was any need for those other 14 nations that King Charles is the ceremonial head to be represented on the royal balcony? And also, don't you think it's high time for these 14 independent countries to ditch the monarch? Don't you think that it's high time for them to find their own way or take their own destinies into their hands? Let us know in the comment section below. And please, do not forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.